It's Eliza May, a professional numerologist, psychologist, and manifestation coach. Today, I'm going to share a story that is not filtered, not polished, and definitely not Pinterest perfect. Because my recent trip to Sedona, a place I manifested so clearly, turned out to be one of the most energetically intense and emotionally triggering experiences of my life. I'm going to walk you through everything. The exact way I manifested the trip using my Numerology Vision Board, how I ended up with 5 girls a decade younger than me, what happened when my spiritual dream turned into a chaotic group dynamic, and the energetic activation I received on Cathedral Rock, as well as the power signs I received from my new spirit animal, and what this trip taught me about control, truth, ego, and softness. It's going to be vulnerable, insightful, and maybe a little triggering. So stay with me and let's go. At the beginning of the year, I created a new Numerology Vision Board together with my focus group. And it is not a typical vision board. It's a precise tool I use and teach where desires are aligned with your personal energy code. And one of the top things I wrote was visit Sedona, but not alone. Not with a partner who isn't spiritual, not with girlfriends who just want photos. I want to go with people who feel energy, who want to meditate, who want to do different activations. And because this method works so good, everything I put on that map has been manifesting. So a few weeks ago, I saw a story from a girl I had done energy work with a few times, and she was organizing a Sedona trip with some friends. They were looking for one more person, and I reached out immediately because all these girls are also into spirituality, meditations, and I was like, wow, this is perfect. And I reached out and she said the spot was already taken. But then something shifted and suddenly that spot opened up and she messaged me. Turns out they needed someone who can drive, and I drive. Also, the retreat was free. It was just a group of friends and I only had to cover my flights, food, and share the cost of accommodation and car rental. So it was like really perfect, effortless, aligned, the kind of manifestation I teach and live. And that's how it all started. There was only one catch. Everyone else on the trip was way younger than me, like a full decade younger. And I'm 34. The girls were 21, 22, 23, and that triggered me more than I expected. I've always been the youngest one in the room, in my friends groups, in my focus groups. All my students are usually older than me. In my business circles also, I was used to being the baby, the prodigy, the one who stands out because she's the youngest. Now suddenly I was the oldest, and I found myself feeling awkward, uncomfortable, like I didn't quite belong. That was the first energetic mirror this trip handed me. It's like the universe was telling me, you're not here to be the baby anymore. You're here to lead, you're here to observe, you're here to embody a new version of yourself. But I still felt uncomfortable because of this, because it was completely new experience for me. So what's wild is that everything else was unfolding perfectly. For the other girls, it was a disaster. One almost got kicked off her flight because she refused to check her carry-on. She lost headphones. Her ticket was refunded because they found suspicious activity on her card. And another girl was late to her flight and had to rebook. So they all had some crazy situations. But for me, smooth sailing. I was thinking of sitting alone, and I did. I wanted a window seat. I got it. I hoped for space above me. It was there. I literally walked off the plane, and there was a Starbucks right at the exit, and I really wanted a latte, so everything was aligning perfectly. I kept thinking, wow, I'm manifesting every single detail today. This is wild. You know why it happens? Because when your energy is aligned, things happen without force. You don't have to force anything, then you're aligned. Once we landed, I picked up the rental car and drove us all the way to Sedona. It was about a 2 hours drive, and while the girls were passed out in the backseat, I was holding it together up front. And here's where the first crack showed up. Yes, I offered to drive. Yes, I knew what I was getting myself into. But in that moment, I felt resentment. They were all resting, glowing, relaxed, and I was tired, responsible for everyone around me, and just quietly carrying. And I noticed this thought: why is it always me holding it together? Why do I always end up doing the hard thing? This was a pattern I'd carried my whole life: over giving, being the strong one, the one who takes care of others even when no one asks. So even though the drive was fine, energetically, it already began stirring something deeper inside me. When we arrived to Sedona, the house was really cute. Not luxurious, not terrible. It was good. We were paired 2 girls per room, and I ended up sharing with a girl who was actually super lovely. She was a full-on Instagram Barbie with over 20 million followers on TikTok and 3 million followers on Instagram. I had never met anyone in real life with that kind of online reach, and I was genuinely curious. We actually got along very well, had conversations, lived together peacefully, and it was a nice surprise and showed me that I am capable of connecting with people from different backgrounds and online spheres without comparison or insecurity. Our first stop was one of the amazing crystal stores in Sedona. Huge amethysts, powerful stones, beautiful energy. I loved this store so much. I placed my hands on a massive amethyst, and for the first time in a long time, I felt the energy instantly. It was so strong, grounding, activating, like wow. And I'd been so busy lately that I'd lost touch with how sensitive I actually am to energies, so it was really cool. That night we also went to our first vortex site, Airport Mesa. It's a masculine upward vortex known for clarity and energetic expansion. We sat in a circle, set intentions, and introduced ourselves. I didn't feel a huge energetic hit yet. I was tired from the road, but I knew something was building. Let's take a little break to talk about food, because yes, even food became a spiritual lesson. At first, we had the beautiful plan: let's all pitch in for groceries, cook together, share meals. Sounds great, right? Well, not quite. Some girls decided to just eat what they wanted. One girl literally didn't eat anything at all for the entire 6 days. She drank water, sometimes Pepsi, and that's it. No breakfast, no lunch, no dinner, nothing. It was so crazy for me, because she was still full of energy, like glowing. She said she just didn't feel hungry. Part of it was body image, part of it was cleansing. And I was honestly so shocked, because I've never seen anyone who wouldn't eat for that long. It made me question everything I thought I knew about nourishment, energy, and hunger. But more than that, it showed me how different we all are. Different values, different bodies, different boundaries. And that's when another thing hit me. Just because everyone starts together doesn't mean they'll move together. And so we ended up each doing our own thing with food and wasting some groceries we bought on the first day. So that was kind of sad. And it taught me some lessons that I'm gonna tell you more about in this video too. Every morning we had a plan. Let's leave early, catch the sunrise, avoid the heat, and in reality, we would get moving around noon, the hottest time of the day. Why? Because some girls took 2 hours to get ready, then they want to go for coffee, then they need some Instagram pictures, and I try to stay calm, but inside I was boiling. Like I kept thinking, why can't we just go? Like, why are we missing the best time of the day? Why am I waiting again? I didn't come here to watch people take selfies. Like everyone would dress up to hike and it just didn't make sense for me. I actually came to hike. And but the thing is, I didn't say anything, and that was the problem. I was basically swallowing my anger, pretending it was fine while secretly judging everyone. And it wasn't about them, it was about my own lack of boundaries. I realized I was abandoning myself just to keep the peace. One day we went to Amitabha Stupa and Peace Park, a beautiful place for meditation, very strong energy too. And we agreed, let's spread out, meditate alone, and then come back together to do a group meditation. So I did that. I found a peaceful spot, grounded, connected, and when I came back, they were already finishing that meditation. And it felt small, but it stung. Like I wasn't included in my own intention, like I didn't matter. Like, why wouldn't they just wait for me or text me? I kept having these thoughts inside my head, like, why wouldn't they wait or call? Because we're in 2025, we have phones. So yeah, it was a tiny wound, but it reopened something big, that childhood feeling of being left out. Later that day, we visited the famous chapel of the Holy Cross. It's known as a sacred place, but honestly, it felt too touristy. Yes, it was beautiful, but energetically, it didn't land for me. No vortex, no present, just tourists with cameras. Some people were praying, so you can still feel energy of the prayers, but not as much as some other places that I visited. And I got this reminder that not every sacred place is sacred to everyone, and that's totally fine. In the evening, we went to Cathedral Rock. It's a very strong place with energy vortex as well. It was hot and we didn't hike up, just stood below and tuned in. It was also getting dark. I didn't honestly feel much there, but one of the girls said she had a full past life vision, and that was really fascinating to listen about. It reminded me that we are not always meant to feel energy the same way. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's overwhelming, sometimes you don't feel anything at all. It's just like not the moment. And my takeaway from this is trust what you feel and also trust what you don't feel, if it makes sense. But yeah, it was cool. We still were able to do some activations from the distance, and I would definitely come back to hike there. Let's talk about contrast now, because this group was something else. I was there for hikes, meditation, embodiment. They were there for a tomb. but also for looks, like hiking with Chanel and Yves Saint Laurent bags, flowy white dresses. And listen, I'm all about beauty, but it just didn't resonate. And I realized one thing, that I left Russia in part because I never fit in with that mindset that you have to be perfect all the time. You have to always look your best, go take out the trash on your heels. Like, it never made sense to me. And after 10 years in the US, I fully integrated a different version of femininity. I wasn't there to impress. I was there to connect with earth, with energy, with myself. So that was a huge contrast for me, and I really felt disconnected from others because of it. By the third day, I started to feel the tension inside me build. I was constantly waiting, saying yes when I wanted to say no, letting everyone else decide, and resenting it later. And I realized, if I keep doing this, I'm going to explode. And the truth is, I've been doing this for years, and only being in these situations, I was able to see that. So I made a choice. I'm going to observe, I'm going to notice, and when the time is right, I will speak. And I promised to myself to actually use my voice from now on. And recording this video is also my way to using my voice. Alright, Cathedral Rock. The most powerful moment of the entire trip. The hike that changed everything. The hardest hike of my life. It was so hot. I hadn't slept enough. My knees were already so sore from the previous few days and from driving. Our water ran out halfway up, but I didn't quit. I climbed, I struggled, and when I finally reached the top, I collapsed on the ground. Literally let down. I didn't even plan to, but my body just said, lie down now. And the moment my back touched the red rock, I disappeared. I felt like I melted into the earth, like I was the one with this mountain, as if the mountain pulled me into its heart. And then I heard it, not in my ears, in my body, in my bones, in my spine. A voice, or maybe my own soul, said, you are already powerful. Stop seeking, stop fixing, stop proving. All you need is trust. Trust yourself. You already know and have everything you need, and all the answers are inside you. I cried. It wasn't loud, like dramatic crying, but it was kind of like a quiet surrender. My eyes just overflowed, and something inside me cracked open. I heard that I'm enough. I don't need to look for validation from everyone, and I don't need to listen to all the mentors, teachers, because all the answers are already inside of me. That moment showed me everything I'd been doing wrong. Not in life, not in business, but in energy. I would spend years trying to be the good girl, make everyone happy and comfortable. Don't be too much, don't talk too loud, don't scream. Always say yes, don't rock the boat. Be the nice one, the helpful one, the understanding one. But that girl, she was exhausted, and honestly, she wasn't even me. And Cathedral Rock whispered to me, you don't have to be soft to be loved. You don't have to be sweet to be safe. You just have to be real. And that was the beginning of the end of who I thought I was supposed to be. I've never had anything like this in my entire life. It was my first activation, how I call it, that I actually heard things in my mind. I actually became one with a mountain, and I received the answers for questions I didn't even ask. I didn't ask anything, I just heard that. That night we had steak in the fridge. I had been craving it. We had bought it together, planned to cook it, but no one else wanted it anymore. No one else wanted it that night. And I told myself, well, I guess I'm not going to cook it either. Like, why would I make it just for myself? It didn't make sense for me. So, like, I would cook it for someone else, but just for me, I don't really want to do that. And that was the moment I saw the pattern again. Like, I don't deserve the time of making the meal if I'm the only one eating it. But the truth is, I wanted the steak and I just didn't let myself have it. Over something as small as like dinner, I betrayed myself. And I started to notice all these things, and there was so many of them that it kind of made me sad, but kind of made me happy that I'm finally realizing all of that. And that's how self-abandonment hides in the little choices. That's how it stacks up over time. And yeah, sometimes we don't notice it, or when we notice it, it's already so many of them, then we're like, oh my God, how do we fix that? So I had all of these realizations. All right, money. Let's talk about the part that's not so spiritual, but very real. Money, money, money. Some of the girls on this trip were living on another level. One was dating a millionaire who gave her a card with no limit on it. They had a home with a private movie theater. Another girl made over $50,000 per month online, and they were all in their early 20s. Meanwhile, I've built my life, my business, my alignment, but I'm not a millionaire, at least not yet, and it triggered me. I felt that old voice, you're behind, you're not good enough, you're too late, you should have done more by now, because you're already 34. Oh my God. But then I caught myself and I reframed it. If these people are in my field, are around me, it means that I'm close and I can also achieve all these things that they have. If I can see it, I'm in the vibration of it too. And this is not jealousy, this is calibration. So what's happening right now is my life, the universe shows me that I can also get there, I can also be there, because these people are already in my field. And just like that, the shame dissolved and motivation took its place. So remember, every time you feel jealousy towards someone, try to transform this jealousy into motivation. So you're not jealous towards them, but they motivate you to achieve more in life, and they're already in your field, so you know you can actually do it. By this point in the trip, my nervous system was done. Too much emotion, too much heat, too much driving, too much group chaos. So I did what I always do after deep energy work, a salt shower. When I go in the shower, I put some salt on the ground, I step on the salt, and then I just grab regular non-iodized salt from the store. And I take a handful and scrub in my skin gently, like my entire body. And I say in my mind, I release all energy that is not mine. I cleanse myself from anything heavy, false, or draining. I call my light back and I return to my center. And this practice works like magic. If you never tried it, I definitely recommend you to try Instant Reset. Salt is such a simple, powerful tool, and most people underestimate it. If you ever feel off, heavy, tired after being around people or intense experiences, do this and your energy will thank you. Another insight that came up again and again is that not everything has to be scheduled. I'm so used to writing every step of my life, having strict schedules, and there I realized how tightly I grip my time, my to-do list, my output, my goals. But healing doesn't happen on a calendar. Flow doesn't obey time blocks. So I created a new practice. One unscheduled day per week. No alarms, no phone calls, no obligations, just presence and living in the moment. So basically I wake up and I do what I feel I want to do. If I want to go for a walk, I go for a walk. If I want to go and eat, I'm eating. If I want to do some practices, I'm doing practices. I want to watch TV, I go watch TV. I want to call my parents, I call my parents. It's just I live in the flow instead of following a strict schedule. So I really recommend you to try this practice too, at least once. You will feel the difference in your nervous system, your creativity, your softness. So definitely try it. Right before this trip, something strange happened. A scorpion ran into my house. I just opened the door to get a package and it ran right in. Really big one like this. I've never seen a scorpion like this before. And I was shocked, I was scared, and it was crawling on the floor super fast. So it was definitely something that I did not expect. At first I thought it was a lizard, and I love lizards, it's my spirit animal, and I was happy, but then I realized this scorpion, I was like, oh no. But deep down I knew it wasn't just a desert bug. This was a sign. And then it started happening again and again. I saw scorpions on jewelry, in lollipops. I don't know who eats these things, but there is actual dried scorpion inside a lollipop that they sell in stores in Arizona. And I saw it in my dreams on car plate. And I started to search, what can this mean? It was relentless. The message was super loud, basically telling me, you're entering a rebirth portal. Fear must die. Your old self must shed. In mythology and spiritual symbolism, the scorpion represents death and rebirth, shadow integration, power that stings when ignored, owning your darkness, and truth that burns. That's why I'm now creating a guided meditation called Scorpion Rebirth. This Scorpio, the one that got into my house, inspired me for it, and this meditation is designed to help you face your inner shadows, release fear, burn through energetic stagnation, and fully own your spiritual authority. Because that's what this trip was for me. It's about awakening and a scorpion initiation. As the trip went on, everything felt more tense. We constantly split into two cars, and we would agree on one location and people would just disappear into another. And we would wait for an hour sometimes for people to finish shopping, grabbing coffee, and stopping by home. One day we were all supposed to meet at Starbucks, and other girls in the other car, they decided to stop at Walgreens, and we ended up waiting for them for 40 minutes. And there were more and more situations like this throughout the entire trip. And to be honest, at first I felt very annoyed. Then I was frustrated because this wasn't about Walgreens. This was about boundaries. It was about group power, group activities for me. But it was lack of collective respect. And I realized that I don't function well in chaos, and I thrive in structure, clarity, and communication. I also noticed a difference between millennials and Gen Z. From my experience, millennials tend to be more group-oriented and considerate of others' needs, while Gen Z seems more focused on individual desires. But that's just my experience and my personal observation. There were also moments where I felt this massive gap between me and some of the other girls. They flirted with stuff, complained loudly when someone wouldn't help them, for example, lift a kayak, and said things like, well, we are girls, we're not supposed to do that, but you just paid for a kayak trip and that's in the rules that you're supposed to carry your own kayak. And like, why would you buy a ticket if you weren't gonna do that and gonna complain about that and be rude to people? So it was just something that I personally don't agree. And I just thought that that's not my definition of femininity. It was really weird to me to watch that kind of behavior. And I believe in softness, I love support, but not entitlement, not bypassing basic respect. And it was just different for me to see people act this way, and I'm used to acting different way. But again, no judgment. It's just I saw how different our worldviews were, and I silently thank the universe for showing me so clearly that I'm not like everyone, and I'm not meant to be, and I need to stay true to my code. And it's same for you. You're not like everyone. You're not meant to be, and you need to stay true to your code. That made me realize that people are different, that it's okay to be different, and you tolerate what you want to tolerate, and what you don't want, you just walk away, and it's also fine. On our last day, I booked myself a hotel closer to the airport. My flight was in the morning. I had to return the rental car by 10 a.m. And this hotel was not only 20 minutes closer than the hotel the girls were staying, it was also $100 cheaper. And it just made sense for me because I'm there just for a few hours to sleep, and I'm not gonna be able to enjoy all the other features of a different hotel like pool, jacuzzi, etc. And yet, when I mentioned it, one of the girls who had been riding in a completely different car the whole trip started questioning me. She said something like, wait, so you're not taking us to the airport tomorrow? And I was so confused. They weren't part of my car group. They were traveling with someone else, with a different driver, and my girls who were traveling with me, they don't need a ride because their flight was at 8 p.m. and we need to get rid of the rental at 10 a.m. anyway, so it wouldn't be possible. And still there was this low-key expectation that I should stay further away from the airport, spend more money, and drive people I wasn't even responsible for, just because she thought that was the right thing to do. It didn't make any sense to me. Let me know if it makes sense to you. Maybe you see things differently, and that's totally fine too. But it reminded me of something very important. When you create structure for your own peace, it can make other people uncomfortable. And that's not your job to fix. Let that sink in. Too often, we are expected to sacrifice convenience, money, and time in the name of being a good person. But kindness doesn't mean self-abandonment. Support doesn't mean always saying yes. And sometimes choosing your route, the easier, cheaper, more aligned for you, it's the most spiritual decision you can make. And you don't owe anyone an explanation for that. And actually, that's when it hit me again. Most people will always prioritize their comfort over your boundaries unless you speak them. So I made a promise to myself to always speak my truth from that moment, and that's one of the reasons I'm recording this video for you. It's my way of speaking my truth. And these people do that not because they're bad, but because they're not inside your reality. You are inside your reality. So we all may see things differently. What's good for someone else might not be good for me, and what's good for me might not be good for someone else. This was such a big lesson in not apologizing for choosing ease, in not bending backwards just to be liked, and in remembering that being supportive doesn't mean being self-sacrificing. So this trip taught me so many lessons. I have so many insights, and I feel like I need weeks and weeks to process everything. But remember, you can be kind and still say no. You can be generous without being drained. After Sedona, we drove to Antelope Canyon, Horseshoe Bend, and finally the Grand Canyon. If you have a chance, I would definitely recommend you to go to Antelope Canyon, although it's tour only and it's like 1 hour long. You don't have time to take pictures, they don't allow videos, but it's so worth seeing it in real life. Horseshoe Bend also incredible, but go for sunset. We went there around 3 p.m., which was super hot and not as beautiful, but still incredible. Anyway, visit it for sure. All the views were stunning, but our logistics were exhausting. We never stayed more than 2 nights in one place, always packing, always driving, always navigating, organizing. And by the end, I was spiritually full, but physically just done. Next time, if I decide to go there, I would definitely stay longer at each place. Maybe not 2 nights in Sedona, but 4 nights in Sedona. And yeah, that was definitely exhausting. But at the same time, I'm so happy I took this trip because I have so many realizations after. Although it wasn't the trip I expected, it wasn't all rituals and crystals and golden sunsets. It was chaotic, it was disorienting and raw, but it was also sacred. I did not leave Sedona glowing. I left cracked open, exposed, tender, real. And that's the thing about true transformation. It doesn't always beautiful. It doesn't always look pretty. Sometimes it looks like missing meditations, being angry, saying yes when you meant no, smiling in group photos while grieving your own truth, and eventually reclaiming yourself anyway. Alright, so here's what I want you to know. You don't have to be convenient to be loved. You don't have to shrink to keep the peace. And you are allowed to walk away even from beauty. You are allowed to want more, even if others are content. And you're allowed to be both light and scorpion. And you know what is even more important? all your answers are already inside you. That's my main takeaway from the trip. That I don't need any gurus, I don't need any mentorships, because I already know everything. I studied so many things, I finished so many courses, I paid hundreds of $1,000 for guidance from others. Then all the answers are here, not in Sedona, not in retreat, not in a coach or guru. It's inside you. Listen to your heart, like in the song. And when you remember that, you don't just find peace, you become it. Thank you so much for witnessing this story. I know it was long, raw, and probably cracked something open inside you too. At least I hope it did. And if it did, leave a comment, tell me which part hit more, or just send me Scorpio emoji if you've been through your own rebirth lately. And if you want to go deeper, the Scorpion rebirth meditation is coming soon. I already have the script, it's super powerful. I just need to record it, so it's gonna be here in no time. And I can't wait to guide you through it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Actually, there is one more thing. Before we wrap this story, I want to share one last synchronicity, and it honestly gave me chills. So remember that hotel that I booked for one last night of the trip at the airport away from everyone else? When I arrived at this hotel, the one I was not supposed to stay, and booked last minute for around $100 a night, they told me that the room I originally reserved was not available, so they upgraded me for free. And I got a huge room with a very nice couch, big balcony, just very beautiful room where I actually had time to reconnect with myself, away from everyone, away from girls, and I was just able to relax and to find that peace and to focus on being with myself. So it was great, and it was really good. And then I also realized one thing. I looked up at the building number coming inside the hotel, and it was free, 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 free. A very powerful angel number. What are the odds that the hotel I randomly found on Booking just was in the building with this number? Free, 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 free. It's the number of divine creativity, self-expression, and spiritual expansion. It felt like the universe were talking to me and telling me, you have completed this cycle. Now go create from this new place of power. And this powerful message just basically made me realize that I'm on the right path. And that was the moment I knew that this was not just a trip, it was really a rebirth. Let's do something really quick. We're gonna take a moment to land this together. If you're watching this, just close your eyes for a few seconds and listen to my voice. Take a deep inhale through your nose and slowly exhale through your mouth. One more time. Deep inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Let your body soften. Say inwardly or aloud, I release everything I carried that wasn't mine. I honor the lessons, the discomfort, the growth. I remember who I am. I return to my truth, and I am open to the next chapter. Let that sit. Let your system feel it. You don't have to control the flow anymore. You are already in it. If this video spoke to something in your soul, this is your sign. I am now welcoming new clients into my next focus group, a transformational container where we dive into full numerology decoding, energy healing, manifestation, subconscious rewiring, and intuitive guidance. I also have space for a few aligned souls for work one-on-one. These are private containers with full support. We are basically in contact every single day. You receive personalized numerology charts and very powerful breakthroughs. I basically taken you by hand and you're going with me on this 2 months journey to achieve your wildest dreams. If you are feeling the call, apply through the link below and tell me about your energy, your goals, and your current chapter. And I'll guide you to the path that aligns. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for witnessing my journey, and thank you for choosing your own. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.